Russia's illegal and immoral invasion of Ukraine is a crime that must be stood up to by the US. Under Putin, Russia has developed a pattern of invading and setting up puppet governments such as in Georgia and the Crimea, which are left completely unopposed by the West. As a student of international relations, we learn about the international laws made post-World War II that have helped prevent a major conflict in Europe since then. The invasion of Ukraine by Russia threatens that peace. Now let's take a deeper look at the atrocities caused by the Russians taking place in the Russia-Ukraine war. First and foremost, we must consider the humanitarian implications. Amnesty International reported widespread human rights abuses by Russian troops, such as the rape and the abduction of Ukrainian children. Every day, civilians face the threat of a missile randomly falling on their home and family and loved ones. Can you imagine facing this threat on a daily basis? Reuters documents numerous human rights abuses against civilians during and after the siege of Mariupol, including the separation of families and the mock executions of individuals suspected of patriotism. According to the BBC, Sergei Mironov, a Putin ally, adopted Margarita from the Kherson Regional Children's Home in occupied Ukraine, renaming her Marina Mironova. She was compelled to conform to Russian customs, erasing her Ukrainian identity, an act violating the UN stance on forcibly transferring children between groups. Can you imagine your sibling being taken away, never to be seen by you or your family ever again? While the humanitarian issues in Ukraine are important, there are also many lasting geopolitical implications. The geopolitical implications of the conflict affect our own national security. The threat of a similar invasion in other nations is not just a geopolitical concern. It's a potential danger to the stability in the world that we value. According to The Hill, China is watching the invasion of Ukraine with great interest so that they can learn what to do when they want to invade Taiwan. China is the world's leading producer of electronics, and if they were to invade Taiwan, that would wipe out the biggest competitor in the market, thus raising prices immensely for us in the US. Supporting Ukraine will also help to preserve democracy both in Ukraine and inside Europe as a whole. The threat to democracy in Ukraine is not just a distant concern. It's a shared commitment to the principles we hold dear. The spread of Russian influence challenges the very fabric of democracy in the region and potentially beyond. Defeating the Russian invasion will allow for future societal progression. A government currently under wartime restrictions is unable to develop as a democracy in any way. As the leader of our free world, it is our duty to defend democracies like Ukraine. Now, what can we as individuals do to help the Ukrainians? The solution lies in voting for political candidates committed to providing both military and humanitarian aid to Ukraine, boycotting companies that support the Russian state and supporters amid ongoing aggression, and contributing, if you have the means, to Ukrainian aid organizations. Donating to aid organizations will help give Ukraine the resources to achieve their mission to protect civilians in combat zones and keep them safe and healthy. According to the European Commission, there are hundreds of volunteers from across the world helping internally displaced persons within Ukraine. Most of these organizations are not part of a government and rely solely on donations from individuals like all of you in the audience. Secondly, raising awareness can help make the gravity of the conflict more clear to other people. Sharing articles and infographics can let your friends and family know which companies to boycott and which charities to donate to if they want to help Ukrainian refugees. The last thing we can do is vote in political leaders that will continue to send military aid packages to Ukraine, as well as continue to impose sanctions on the Russian state. According to the US government, NATO standard equipment and training are vital for Ukraine's survival in the invasion, enhancing logistics and crew survivability. A common objection to sending military equipment to Ukraine is the concern about excessive use of our funds and military resources. When our government allocates a $100 million military aid package, it doesn't entail sending pallets of cash. Instead, it signifies the provision of $100 million worth of equipment. Critics of military aid to Ukraine also argue against allocating excessive resources, citing concerns about giving away too many assets. According to the nonpartisan think tank Center for Strategic and International Studies, what we're really giving to Ukraine are outdated systems that are about to be retired. If the West allows Russia to invade Ukraine without consequence, it will embolden China to invade and dominate its less powerful neighbors like Taiwan. We don't eat Ukrainian grain, but what we do use are Taiwanese microchips, and that is exactly why our continued support of Ukraine matters. Ukraine is resisting Russian aggression, but they cannot fight alone. We must continue to elect officials willing to give aid to Ukraine, petition the leaders who are skeptical of the Ukrainian cause to reconsider the position, and donate money, if you have the means, to humanitarian aid organizations. If we are to make a better, safer tomorrow, we must act now and stand with Ukraine before it is too late. Thank you.